Welcome to DCS AV-8B Harrier Startup Training. I'm Top Gun with the AKA War Dog Squadron. I'll be operating off of checklist version 1.1, and I'll start off saying that I normally don't do this. This module is still in beta status, so it's still work in progress. There's some systems that are not functional yet, and some of those will almost certainly have an impact on the startup sequence. So like the INS alignment, things like that. Uh, so I normally would wait until the module's done to the point where the startup sequence isn't going to change any, but considering the popularity of this module and the number of requests I've had to do a startup video, I'll go ahead and just do a quick and dirty one for now, and then I'll just have to redo it later once it's in a more finished state. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's do the battery forward to on, and the generator forward to on. And so we don't have to deal with any cockpit noises. Go ahead and close the canopy. I've got that key mapped. The default key mapping for that, I believe, is the left control C as in Charlie. Let's do the seat ground safety handle, which is this one right here, and the hot spot is near the end of the handle. Over your left shoulder, you've got the DCS switch up to on, and then right below it, the fuel shutoff handle down to on. You've got the fuel pump switch, you've got right and left, forward to on, and as well as the fuel proportioner, also forward to on. If you want, you can have your interior lighting. You've got instruments, console, warning and caution, although these won't really turn on until the engine pops on, unless you've got ground power turned on by the ground crew. Exterior lighting, you've got a 2-position switch for position, dim and bright forward. Anti-collision is on and off. Auxiliary is on and off, all 3 forward to turn on. And then you've got the master mode for exterior lighting. You want that one to full forward as well. Think of this as the pinky switch on the throttle for the Warthog A10C. This controls all of the exterior lighting, so you can just hit one switch to kill them all. Let's move the nozzles to 60 degrees. You can map this to a lever in the axis commands if you want. So if you've got a Warthog split throttle or another device that has a split throttle, you can do one throttle handle for the actual throttle itself and the other to the nozzle position. And if you want to go to a certain position but you don't want to go further than the that nozzle angle, you've got a lock lever here that you can move forward and you can stop it, and then you can freely move your nozzle lever forward and back all you want and it will not go past that point. But I don't really need that, so I'll put that back down to 0 and we'll set the nozzle to 60 degrees. Manual radio control right now is non-functional, so if you want to talk to people in the sim, you have to enable easy comms and set the presets in the mission editor. You can turn the radio on. The left knob to TR and G for transmit, receive, and ground, or to just TR for transmit, receive. And the right rotary can go to either preset or manual, but again, I mean, these buttons really don't do anything at the moment. So let's go ahead and turn on the forward console stuff. So we got the left MFD, the right MFD, the upfront controller, heads up display, and while we're at it, we'll turn on the volume for the radios. And on the left MFD on the main screen, you want EHSD to start with, and on the right, you want ENG for engine. So they refer to it as OSB2 and OSB11, and that's an important note. Is if you're used to flying the A10C, the OSB numbers start in the top left. 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes all around clockwise. In the Harrier, they start in the bottom left. So 1, 2, 3, and they go around clockwise. So if you're in a flight, and if you've got teammates who are in, an A10, what they're referring to OSBs and what you're referring to as OSBs and whatnot, uh, just make sure that everyone's on the same page. All the Harriers will be doing it one way and the A10 will be doing it another way. So just keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and contact ATC for clearance. These are the controls for the radios, these little round things. You can mouse wheel to rotary those up, and you can see preset 1. There's the channel. So to activate the radio, we do the / key, and then F5 for ATC, F1 for your airfield, and F3 for start.
Call key. In field 1-1. Request startup. Field 1-1. Call key. Cleared for startup.
All right, so let's start the engine. So move the engine start switch to the forward position.
Warning.
And then kill the master warning by pressing it. And I've got the exterior sound cranked pretty low, so you probably won't hear it. But when you see the RPM jump up to above 10, go ahead and advance your throttle past the throttle idle cutoff. And it's actually labeled in the key bindings list. It's actually labeled throttle cutoff. And if you've got a controller like the Thrustmaster Warthog, you can set the action of moving the throttle up over the idle detent to that function. Okay, so let's continue. We got our SAS switches, so we've got yaw, roll, and pitch. Q field switch to the forward position, RPS to the middle on position. And let's move over to, we got our radar warning to on, EXP, which stands for your expenditures, so countermeasures, set that to automatic, and ECM jamming system set to standby. We'll set the flaps power to the middle on position. And then flaps, the actual flaps position is going to matter on what you're doing for takeoff. So you've got cruise, auto, and STOL. So if you're doing a conventional takeoff, you'll probably want to set it to auto. If you're doing a short field or vertical, you'll want it to the down STOL position. Anti-skid, you've got two positions here. The middle position is on. The bottom position is NWS. I'll go over that in a little more detail in here in just a moment. But for now, we'll put it to on. And then the water switch is also going to depend on what you're doing for takeoff. So if you're doing a conventional takeoff and you're not really heavy, you don't need to go over 100% RPM, you can probably leave this off. If you know you're going to need every ounce of thrust that you can get, then set it to the up position for takeoff. If you're doing a short field or vertical takeoff, you almost certainly want to have this in the up on position unless you're really light. And let's go ahead and set the nav position to nav. And again, this is probably one of those pieces that's definitely going to change. Since there's currently no INS alignment modeled. And if you need to, you can adjust for barometric pressure here to zero out your altimeter. And let's go ahead and turn off the parking brake. This is a little tricky. It's right behind the throttle. You have to be careful where you click, because if you click in the wrong spot, you'll hit the throttle cutoff lever and you'll shut off your engine. So you need to make sure that you're hovering over the right spot where it says parking brake lever, and then hit it and you'll see it pop forward. And now you can actually advance your throttle forward and back. So at this point, you're ready to contact ATC for taxi clearance. So let's talk about taxi for a moment. With your HUD up in the STOL position, which you can see down here, you can see it says cast. And that means that right now your wheels are just free spinning. If you press and hold your nose wheel steering button, now you have control, steering control. It works kind of like the F5 in this respect. However, and in this mode you have anti-skid protection. So if you're landing, you'll definitely want it in this spot so that you have anti-skid. However, if you set the anti-skid switch to the down position, it's NWS, you'll notice this changes to NWS on the HUD. So you don't have to press and hold the nose wheel steering button at this point. You can just freely steer the aircraft with your rudder pedals with no problem. Bear in mind you do not have anti-skid here, but look what happens when I press and hold the nose wheel steering button. Now it says NWS high. So basically this is high gain mode. So this is the mode you're going to use when you're on the deck of the Tarawa amphibious assault ship, or if you're on an aircraft carrier and it's a busy cockpit or a busy flight deck and it's tight space. So it allows you to turn on a dime. But again, you have to press and hold the nose wheel steering to stay in that mode. Otherwise, you're back to just regular nose wheel steering. So, but that's pretty much it. At this point, you can go ahead and contact ATC for taxi clearance and takeoff. As I've said before, this is going to change, so I will have to redo this video at a later time. There's no ETA on that yet. I'm assuming probably in 1 or 2 months, but I'll go ahead and redo this once this is more fleshed out. So, hope this has been helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you.